Okay, survey time. Here it is. How much do you enjoy Darktide today? I give it a solid 8. And the reason why is because there are a lot of bugs that need fixing, in addition to the extra game modes in the game that need a little bit of tender care. But for the most part, I'm very content with the gameplay loop and the amount of content that we've received so far. There was a time where I did not like playing Darktide. I logged in reluctantly because it was a Warhammer 40k game, and it was the only Warhammer 40k game where I could roleplay and play as like a character. But now I genuinely enjoy logging into the game. I want more maps, obviously. I want more content, but I know it's coming. What is your favorite aspect of Darktide today? So we've got 3 selections here. We can select up to 3, and the options here are missions, classes, character customization, narrative, team play, enemies, combat, music, progression systems, and social features. Social features should not be anybody's favorite. Process of elimination, that should just be out. Progression systems have come a long way from where Darktide was when we initially launched. I don't think anybody likes the progression systems. They're better, but I don't think anyone really likes them. The music is very good, but I only have 3 things to choose here. So I'm not going to select music, because I know no matter what, Jesper Kid is going to keep doing what he's doing. He's a genius. He's an artist. Combat. Obviously, this has to be the number 1. This is probably the number 1 reason why we're all playing this, aside from the fact that this is a 40k game. Now then, it gets really difficult because we only have 2 more things to select. Enemies, missions, classes, character customization, narrative, team play. The character customization is nice. The stuff they did for the Skitarii is really freaking big. And when it comes to the classes themselves, everyone knows that new classes drive engagement in horde shooters. Also super important. But I feel like we're at a point in Darktide now where, especially if they're already working on another class, whenever we have 4 base game classes and 4 DLC classes, that is a variety of playstyles that we have access to. We don't need more playstyles. We want more ways to experiment with the playstyles that we got. We want more weapons. We want more maps. We want more enemies to fight. We don't necessarily need more classes. So, I feel like missions have to be a priority here, and enemies have to be a priority. These are my favorite aspects of Darktide, and I want Fat Shark to know that. And the narrative. Ooh, that's another one. This is really important. The narrative is more important than you guys think, because this is what keeps a lot of casual players engaged. And honestly, quite frankly, it keeps me engaged. There's been no meaningful narrative in like a year and a half. The team play is really good, but that kind of fits into combat. I'm just going to put, because I know anytime they introduce new enemies and missions, we get more narrative. So I'm going to put combat, enemies, and missions. Those are fundamentally the things that make Darktide great today. Yeah, the Wolver cutscene was really epic, Jack. And what we need as well. It's what we need right now. What difficulty do you enjoy playing at the most? So it's not asking what difficulty I play the most, because the difficulty that I play the most is Auric. What difficulty do I enjoy playing the most? I actually really like Havoc 30. I think that Havoc 30 is a good challenge. Whenever you're playing with competent players, anything could happen. Anything above Havoc 30, you start running into, like, you either have to be very try-hard, or you need to use meta builds to trivialize a lot of the BS that the game is throwing at you. I'm still not a fan of how Havoc nerfs player power by nerfing your toughness, nerfing your HP, and further increasing, artificially increasing, the difficulty of enemies. I'd rather deal with mechanics like with mutators than deal with, oh, enemies just have, 2,000 more HP, deal with it. So I think actually Havoc, talking that out, I think Havoc is my preferred. How interesting do you find the Skitarii class? 10, love it. Where did you first learn of Skitarii in Warhammer 40,000 Darktide? Newsletter, social media, patch notes, in-game, Fat Shark Forum, Discord, Reddit, YouTube, Twitch, or other? I flew over to Sweden, met up with my uncle, Victor Magnusson, and while we were on his yacht, he was like, hey, Jeff, we're adding a new class to Darktide, right? It's the Engine Seer. And I was like, oh, Victor, that's a really, really bad idea. You should make it the Skitarii instead. And then he stroked his chin, stroked his beard, and he said, yeah, sure, we'll do that. And then it got added to the game, so. How interesting is the Expeditions game mode to you? I think it's very interesting. I think there's a lot of potential here. I want them to spend more time in making it better. I would like them to turn it into more of a Chaos Wastes type game mode. Or if they don't want to put that level of effort in, then they should watch my most recent video where I break down how they can make some very subtle changes that would make the game mode much more interesting to engage with. What do you think about the enemy variety? I think there's too little enemy variety. And the reason why I think there's too little enemy variety is because when we talk about the scope of these various games, the way that we engage with the scabs and the dregs is very direct. Usually, the main problems that you have to solve involve basically doing damage as fast as you possibly can. You're never really put on the back foot, specifically when you're playing at the highest level. As you're leveling up through the game, or while you're playing with people who aren't playing optimally, people who are new, etc., etc., you do have to do quite a lot. You have to react to the game constantly. Pockbursters, they force you to play the game in a certain way. Demon hosts, they force you to play the game in a certain way. Trappers, dogs, mutants, you have to interact with them in a certain way. Bombers get you to move out of certain areas. Flamers make you move in a certain pattern. So the way that the enemies involve you in the combat system is very good, but I think we need different styles of enemies. Adding something like a new faction, Genestealer Cults, would add a new style to the game. Maybe a much faster style. Maybe for your Nurgle Cultists, it's a little slower pace, but for the Genestealers, it's much faster. Maybe certain Genestealer enemies, they latch onto the ceiling of a level, and you have to look up instead of looking directly in front of you or behind you. You've got to pay attention to what's above you. Maybe there are burrower type enemies, and so you have to look at the floor, and you have to be cognizant of what's under you. Different ways to shake up the game that I don't think you can accomplish with Nurgle affiliated cultists or Renegade Guard. What do you think about the amount of enemies in a mission? Too few enemies, good amount of enemies, or too many enemies? For this, I think that there are too many enemies, mostly because when it comes to people's machines, whether they're playing on console or lower end PCs, a big barrier to entry in higher Havoc is that there are too many enemies on the screen. It basically causes machines to crash. It causes memory leaks. It causes all these different issues that people have no power over. They have no control of. You also notice this in Mortis Trials. Whenever enemies are spawning in, your frames actually drop, even if you're using a higher end machine. It's kind of intense. I would like to see a rebalancing of enemies to be more akin to Vermintide 2's Cataclysm difficulty, or even certain modded difficulties, where there are fewer enemies on the screen, but the game balances them in a way where they just have more HP. Running into a Storm Vermin patrol in Vermintide 2, or running into a Crusher patrol, or not Crushers, my apologies, Chaos Warrior patrol in Vermintide 2, that's something that's going to stop your group temporarily. You have to, one, you have to think about if you want to engage that patrol or not, and two, that's something that you have to use a lot of resources to overcome, even though it's not necessarily like a boss spawn or a wave of specials or any one of these other things that Darktide tries to rely on to try to get you out of your comfort zone. Right now it's boss spawns. Boss spawns are kind of what like stops a run. Everyone has to reorient and deal with it. Or these like over-the-top special waves. How do you feel about the new Dreg and Scab Vanguard enemies with shields? Consider both how much it adds to the game and how interesting it is to fight against. I freaking love Vanguards, dude. Vanguards are the best addition to the game. No, I'm just kidding. So, Vanguards need to be balanced in a way where they're kind of like the shield rats in Vermintide 2, where they're just a normal enemy, but with a shield, you know, slapped onto them. Either that or lower the number of Vanguards, but make them elite enemies so that we can get procs off of them, whether that be like toughness recovery procs, or whether it be things such as, you know, freaking anything, man. Like any sort of proc, like damage procs, dot procs, etc., etc. Make them taggable. Like, either make them elites and lower the amount of them on the screen, or keep the same amount, but make them basically as tanky as what you would consider like any typical scab or dreg infantry unit, but with just a little piece of wood or a piece of metal in front of them. The shields need to be breakable with just like one heavy attack, honestly. They shouldn't be slowing down gameplay as much as they do. How would you rate the Ogre and Packmaster enemy? This is actually a 10. This is actually a really good boss fight. Whenever you don't really appreciate the Ogre and Packmaster unless you're fighting it by yourself, because the dogs add an excellent challenge, making you basically, it puts you on the back foot, man. It makes you have to use your spacing, use the environment, deal with ads like the disablers during the boss fight, and you really have to dodge the Packmaster's electric like mace or prod attacks. Otherwise, your stamina is toast, and that is a GG on that fight. It's actually really well designed. I think what they need to do is maybe nerf the health of the Ogre and Packmaster a little bit, and then also increase the Ogre and Packmaster's detection, because there are certain missions where a boss will spawn, the boss music will start playing, and I know it's an Ogre and Packmaster because there's no boss noise, because the Ogre and Packmaster doesn't have a dedicated noise attached to it. But the Ogre and Packmaster doesn't aggro or pull to the party because it's stuck in a wall somewhere, and it doesn't know where the party is. It's just stuck. There you go. So we just submitted our survey to Fat Shark. The survey is in the character selection screen whenever you open up Darktide, and everyone should do this so that Fat Shark knows what your priorities are, and you can deliver your feedback directly to the team.